Well, well, well. Hello, beautiful people. You know, somebody told me once that first impressions are everything. And, someone just got a first impression of you that broke every bone in their brain. Somebody, and I mean somebody who was standing right there close enough to count the stitches on your smile, got the most inexplicable marrow-deep, can't-shake-it feeling that what they were looking at wasn't entirely human. Not in a run-for-your-life kind of way. Oh, no, no, no. In the kind of way that made every nerve ending in their body snap to attention, like little soldiers who just realized the general showed up unannounced. Their skin went electric. Their brain, that busy, noisy, self-important little brain, went absolutely silent for about 3 full seconds because their whole operating system just blue-screened, goosebumps, head to toe, instantaneous, and they still have them. They are shaken right now. Not because you did something wrong, wouldn't that be fun? And not because you said something strange. No, it's because they watched you shift. Right there, right in front of them. Your face rearranged itself. Your energy flipped like a coin that landed on a side nobody knew existed. Something behind your eyes tuned into a completely different station, and they saw it. They felt it. And now they cannot stop replaying it in their little heads like a joke they don't get, but can't stop telling. They saw you shapeshift. And what they don't know yet, what you are about to understand so much more deliciously in the next few minutes, is that what they witnessed wasn't a malfunction. It wasn't a parlor trick. It was your real secret power finally deciding that the curtain call was over and the real show had begun. Here's what tickles me. You've probably had this happen before. Maybe not exactly like this. Maybe nobody announced it to the room. But you felt that moment. That very specific moment where the whole atmosphere in the room just reshuffled around you. Where someone mid-sentence just trailed off. Like the words fell right out of their mouth and rolled under the furniture. Like something they caught in your expression just jammed their signal for a second. And you noticed. Oh, you always notice. Even when you play dumb. And what a performance that is. You notice. Because there is this part of you. This delightfully dangerous little part that has always known, even when you couldn't quite name the tune, that you are not broadcasting on the same channel as most people. And I know. That might sound like something you've heard whispered in some fortune cookie philosophy. But stay with me here, because what I'm about to walk you through, it's going to land differently. What happened to that person, what they experienced when they locked eyes with you, is not something you can rationalize away with a nice little bow on top. And deep, deep down, beneath all that very convincing normalcy, you have been waiting, oh so patiently, for someone to finally say out loud what you have always already known about yourself. So, may I? Let me set the stage. You think you know? You have no idea. Don't read my book for comfort. Read it to snap. The Evolution of the Anomaly, the manual to your new self. Grab it from the description or pinned comment of this video. Now let's get back to why you're really here. You are in a conversation. Maybe it's someone you've known long enough to be bored of. Maybe it's someone you just met 5 minutes ago. Either way, they are talking. You are listening. And on the surface, perfectly normal, perfectly civilized. And then something happens inside you. Maybe something they said sank into a place where words don't usually reach. Maybe you went still in a way that most people simply don't have the depth to achieve. And they are mid-sentence and they just stop. Their eyes go slightly wide, not panicked, not hostile, just wide. Like they opened a door expecting a closet and found a cathedral. Like the person they thought they were having a pleasant little chat with just revealed a labyrinth they had absolutely no idea was there. And what they saw wasn't just your face shifting. It was something behind your face. It was like peering through a keyhole and realizing for the first time that the room behind it goes on forever. Infinite. Unmappable. And here is where it gets, interesting. Because what they saw wasn't shadow. It wasn't menace. What they saw was primordial. What they saw was certainty. What they saw was a version of you that has been running for a very, very long time and has absolutely zero interest in playing small. That's the part that rattled them. Not you, the real you, the fathomless you. Because you know, that most people, when they look at other people, they see exactly what the script tells them to see. Same signals, same predictable frequencies, same nice, readable marquee. But when they looked at you in that moment, there was nothing on the marquee. You weren't performing a thing. You weren't stage managing how you landed. And for people who spend their whole miserable lives stage managing every little entrance and exit, that is genuinely terrifying. Terrifying. You didn't even have to do anything. You just arrived, fully, completely, and they felt it like a sudden drop in barometric pressure. Like the whole room recalibrated itself just to make space for what you dragged in with you. And that, right there, that's the power. That's the thing they couldn't file away. That's why they still have goosebumps. The instant, they felt your energy shift. Their survival instincts fired before their conscious mind even clocked in for the morning shift. That is not a figure of speech. That is literally what detonated inside their nervous system. Their body flagged something their brain didn't have a folder for. And when the brain can't categorize, it does one of two things. It bolts or it locks up. And they locked up. Because you are the glitch in their neat little matrix of perception. You are the variable their entire internal filing system was never designed to process. Every shortcut they ever used to read people, every cozy little heuristic they leaned on to feel safe in a conversation. You shattered every single one of them in a heartbeat without even breaking a sweat. And those goosebumps, that wasn't fear. That was their body screaming, "This is real. This is enormous. And I do not have the operating manual for this. Now, here is what I really, truly need you to understand, because this is the part that matters most. And I am not a man who says that lightly." That shift they witnessed, that wasn't something happening to you. That was something moving through you. And there is a world of difference. When something happens to you, you are the target. When something moves through you, you are the instrument. And what moves through you, this energy, this presence, this bone-deep awareness, it is layered. It is ancient. It carries frequencies most people couldn't tune into if you gave them 1,000 years and a manual. And it shows. Oh, it always shows. Sometimes it flickers in your eyes right when you go quiet. Sometimes it shows in the way your whole face reconstructs itself around something undeniable. Sometimes it shows in the way you can look at someone and they know, just know, that you have already seen exactly what they were trying to keep locked away. You don't have to say a single solitary word, they just know. And it drives them absolutely up the wall. Here is the thing about your energy, specifically, and this is something I perceive with, let's say, unusual clarity. You have this incredibly rare ability to reflect. Not reflect like a bathroom mirror, surface level, flattering. Reflect like a still lake at midnight. You know how when you look into water that deep, you see your own face, but you also see what's lurking underneath? That's what happens when people look at you when you are fully present. They see themselves, and then they see what's swimming beneath themselves. And most people, honestly, most people are not ready for that dive. They haven't made peace with whatever's down there. So when you reflect it back at them, it doesn't feel like self-recognition. It feels like exposure. Yeah, exposure. And that is where this whole "they are spooked" business lives. They weren't spooked by you. They were spooked by what you showed them about themselves. And you did it without even trying. Without trying. You just showed up, went fully present, and the reflection happened as naturally as gravity pulling a punchline into place. That's not something you rehearsed. No. That's something you carry. You didn't just change your expression in that moment. You literally rewrote the frequency of the room and the beautiful, chaotic thing. You weren't even doing it on purpose. It wasn't a trick. It wasn't choreography. It was just you, fully unlocked, moving through a moment without any of your usual filters on. And the room felt it. That person felt it. The very air rearranged itself. Because when something genuinely primordial and genuinely powerful decides to stop apologizing for what it is, everything around it has to reorganize. That's not mysticism. That's mechanics. That's energy. That's as real as a punch to the jaw. And what they were looking for, when they looked at you, was a person. A normal, readable, manageable, filing cabinet-friendly person. But for a split second, they encountered a force of nature. And that is a completely different animal. A person you can label and shelve. A force of nature stays lodged in your ribs forever. And I want to name something you've probably never let yourself fully sit with. Partly because sitting still isn't your strong suit, and partly because it's the kind of truth that bites. There have been moments in your own life where you've caught a flash of it yourself, maybe in a photograph where the lighting hit differently, and you stared at it longer than you meant to. Maybe in a mirror, late at night, when you were exhausted and your guard was on the floor, and something else gazed back. Something older, something steadier, something that knew precisely where it came from and precisely why it was here. And maybe that unsettled you, just a little. Or maybe it didn't unsettle you at all. Maybe it just felt like recognition, like bumping into someone you hadn't seen in centuries. Either way, you felt it, the knowing that what you are hauling around in this body is not confined to this moment, this life, this particular draft of you. The awareness stretches back further than your own memory, and it bleeds through in your energy, whether you consciously summon it or not. That's why people can sense you before you even cross the threshold. That's why conversations reroute themselves the moment you sit down. That's why someone can be completely lost, and one sentence from you, one real, true, unscripted sentence, lands in them like a compass needle snapping north. Because what you are carrying is old, and old things have heft, and heft creates pull. And pull drags people in, whether they bought a ticket or not. Mechanics. The reason they are spooked isn't because you are frightening. It's because they just realized that the little stage set they built their entire understanding of reality on. It's a lot flimsier than they thought. That is the real source of their discomfort, not you. The flimsiness, see, they constructed their whole worldview on the assumption that people are basically readable, basically predictable, basically operating on the same narrow little bandwidth of ordinary human experience. And then you walked in, and the whole construction folded like wet cardboard. And now they are standing in the wreckage of a worldview they didn't even know they were defending, going, wait, if that's real, what else is real that I've been laughing off? That question is uncomfortable. That question keeps people staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m. And you put it there. Just by being yourself, just by letting what moves through you actually move through you without shrinking it down to a dose that's easier for everyone else to swallow. Now, the person who witnessed your shift, I want you to picture them. They went home, and they could not let it go. It was stuck in a loop, spinning like a broken record. They kept replaying it, kept hunting for the rational explanation, kept trying to file it under something ordinary. And they couldn't, because there is no rational explanation that fully covers it. And what's really delicious is that some of them talked about it. They went to someone else, a friend, a partner, a bartender, whoever, and said, okay, I need to tell you something strange because I cannot stop thinking about it. And they described what they saw, and the other person probably said something like, huh, weird, or are you sure you're okay? But internally, they filed it away. Because there is a part of every person that knows these things are real, that some people carry something that doesn't snap into a neat little box. And you, my friend, are one of those people. Here is what's happening in you energetically. And I want to be surgically precise about this, because this part is important and precision is, shall we say, a hobby of mine. You don't have just one layer running at any given time. Most people do. Most people are exactly what you see. One signal, one frequency, one surface. Flat as a playing field, but you are running multiple layers simultaneously. And depending on what's in front of you, a different layer rises. Not fake, not performed. Genuinely different facets of an extremely complex and ancient energy rotating into position based on what the moment demands. This is why people feel like they can never quite pin you down. This is why someone will say, you seem different today, when nothing on the surface has actually budged an inch. It's not inconsistency, it is range. It is the kind of range that most people will only stumble across once or twice in a lifetime. In a person who makes them finally, viscerally understand what the word presence was always supposed to mean. And someone has been watching you lately. Not in a creepy way. Oh, who am I kidding? A little in a creepy way. But in an I cannot look away way. In a trying to crack the code way. They are comparing moments, collecting data points, trying to construct the blueprint that explains you. And every time they think they've got it, you do something that detonates the blueprint and they have to start from scratch. And the frustrating, gorgeous thing is, they will never get that blueprint to work. Because you don't operate from a blueprint. You operate from something far older and far less obedient than logic. And that drives people like that absolutely mad. Delightfully, irreversibly mad. But it also makes them incapable of stopping. There's something else I want to say, and I think you need to hear this directly from someone who knows a thing or two about wearing more than one face. The fact that you have this power, this depth, this ability to shift and reflect and carry primordial knowing in a modern body. That is not an accident, and it is not a curse. Even when it has felt like a curse, even when you spent years trying to dial it down, make yourself more legible, more comfortable, more digestible for the people orbiting around you. Even when you convinced yourself that being easier to categorize would make your life simpler. It didn't work, did it? No, because this isn't a feature you can disable. It's not a mask on top. It is the face underneath all the other faces. Trying to shut it off is like trying to make a volcano polite by putting a tablecloth over it. The fire doesn't go anywhere. It just waits. Your power is no longer a secret. It is a bonfire that leaves people speechless, standing there with their mouths open like trout. It has always been there, underneath the pleasantries, underneath the effort to blend, underneath all the years of compressing yourself smaller so the room could stay cozy. But it kept showing up anyway, because it is the core. In moments you didn't choreograph, in conversations that suddenly veered somewhere you never intended, in the way someone held your gaze just a beat too long, like they were trying to decode something that doesn't have a code. That was the bonfire burning through. And now, it's not sneaking through the cracks anymore. It's just on full blaze, and the people around you are feeling the heat, whether they have vocabulary for it or not. Some of them are leaning in, some of them are backing away. Both reactions mean exactly the same thing. They felt it. They felt it. And here is what I really, truly need you to take away from this. And take it from a man who understands a thing or two about being, shall we say, misunderstood. You have spent so long making peace with the fact that not everyone will understand you. But what you haven't fully swallowed yet is this. You were never meant to be understood by everyone. You were meant to be witnessed. There's a difference, and it's a big one. Being understood means being dismantled into digestible little pieces, something manageable, something that slides neatly into a pre-existing slot. Being witnessed means someone actually beholds the full scope of what you are, and can hold it without needing you to be smaller. Most people cannot do that. Most people will reduce you, file you, rationalize you, or sprint in the opposite direction. But a small number, a beautifully chaotic few, will witness you, and those are your people. Those are the ones who don't spook easily. Or if they do spook, they lean in instead of bolting, because something in them recognizes what you carry. Something in them has known it since before memory had a name. And the person who watched you shapeshift, the one who still has goosebumps, somewhere underneath the confusion and the slightly rattled energy, there is recognition there too. There is a part of them that knows. They just bumped into something real. And that is going to do something to them over time. It's already doing something to them. They are not going to be the same after that moment. And that's not your mess to clean up or explain or apologize for. But it is the truth. Your presence does that. Your presence rearranges things. Not because you are trying to, not because you are performing a single thing, but because what you carry is genuinely transformative. And people feel it, whether they have the dictionary for it or not. You don't need to shrink. You don't need to make yourself more breathable, more predictable, more palatable for people who aren't built to sit with depth. You stay in your power. You let the shift happen when it happens. You let people get their goosebumps. You let them be spooked for a minute. Because the ones who are meant to stay, oh, they'll stay, promise. They will stay, and they will witness you. You being fully, unapologetically, mysteriously, anciently yourself. And that is the most powerful thing you can possibly offer this world. Not in spite of the fact that it rattles people. Because of it. Because what you are reflecting back is true. And truth, when it hits someone who has been running from it, it feels exactly like that. Cold skin, hair at attention, 3 seconds of complete, deafening silence. Goosebumps. Yeah, that's you. That's your real secret power. And it's just getting started, huh?